Hello, hello, hello. How many have seen the Audacity so far? Okay, you people have to watch television. This show is so good and so scary, scarier than even It and all of that. In its own way, it's dealing with Silicon Valley. And that is scary. But let me introduce you to the very talented two people that I have here. First up, he is one of the star of the show and just such a duplicitous, interesting, complex character. He plays Duncan Park. Please welcome Billy Magnussen.
This one? No, this one.
Yeah, it's got your name.
Howdy, y'all.
All right, welcome, Billy. And I'm so happy to have the creator, executive producer, writer, and showrunner. You may know some of the shows he's worked on in the past, including Succession, Better Call Saul, many others. This is Jonathan Glatzer.
Bad Sisters. He did some other good stuff. And you should see him write an email. It's fantastic.
All right, have a seat. Yeah, you're following Andy Muschietti, who does all those scary movies and everything, but I think this is just as scary in its own way, as they really reacted when I said Silicon Valley. So it's interesting that you worked for a couple of seasons on Succession to me, because this is, I would put this in that ballpark, but it's a very different kind of take. But what interested you in taking on Silicon Valley? And we all remember Mike Judge's wonderful comedy series. Was that intimidating? Did you watch it before, or?
3 times through. No, I mean, I was a huge fan of the show. And, you know, what that terrific show did was it presented a world where there was an optimism behind the innovation.
It seems quaint now when you look back compared to everything that's going on.
They were making great jokes about how, you know, we're going to change the world, everybody, and they did change the world. You know, as we say in the in our show, so did the bubonic plague. But so yeah, I mean, we're in an atmosphere where Silicon Valley, that optimism has curdled to some extent. And so we are not doing that kind of jaunty, can-do spirit. It's jauntist, I guess. But Billy, actually, he plays the lead, Duncan Park, a guy who's not at the top of anybody's list or ladder. He's a kind of a wannabe titan. He's worth a lot of money. He's had some businesses. I'm speaking about Duncan, not.
No, I know.
You're worth.
No,
I don't know what
thanks,
you're worth.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
But but that wannabe spirit, that desperation, is something that I would say, to some extent, whether it was intentional or not, was borrowed from. You know, I recognized in Silicon Valley, the show, that desire was something that fueled the story so well. It's just that with Duncan Park, he is somebody whose ambitions are much more damaging. But in the hands of Billy Magnussen, you do find yourself rooting for the guy. And I think that's an incredible magic trick that you're able to pull off scene after scene. And it really is.
Well, thank you, man.
It is.
Yeah, Billy, can you talk about the way you see Duncan before I show a clip to them?
How do I see him? You know, the beauty about being an actor and stuff like that, Jonathan created this world, and Duncan Park, I sadly, he's sad to me. He was a hopeful spirit. Probably the genesis of the idea was to come to the Valley and do something beautiful. And then greed, jealousy, fear consumed him. And I feel sad for him more than anything. And that's kind of like how I built Duncan with you, is like, he wants to be great. He just wants to be enough. He just wants his dad to love him, you know? Yeah. Did I answer the question? I don't know.
Yes, it's complex. He's complex.
He's complex. Again, well, as an actor, like, I don't know if you know my career, like, I've always been like a hired gun on the side and stuff like that. And yeah, and like you only get so much playground to play with when you have that. But then with Jonathan creating this world and then seeing the words and the text and bringing life to that was the best gift of my life. I mean, to have a job in this industry is a gift. It's a gift. It really is. And then to work on something and with someone you admire and actually am proud of is a fucking awesome thing. And then to be on this stage right now, it's the audacity to be here. It's blowing my mind, guys.
It's so great. And also, let me add, it's really cool to be on a show that was renewed for second season before it even premiered.
What? Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah.
We're on the first season right now, so let's take a look at the Audacity.
Have a good day. Yeah, bye. Hey, we should talk.
There's nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk. That's that's emotional distortion, and if deliberate, quite cruel.
Duncan, I am not doing this here.
It's fine. That's fine. Follow me. We'll talk.
No.
Fine. When you were insider trading off your patients, I'm sorry, your clients. When you were insider trading off your clients' most private and confidential confidences given to you in strict confidence according to the rules of Therapy International, I'm just curious. Oh my God! Joe.
That is the wonderful Sarah Goldberg, who
Yes.
plays Joanne, apparently the therapist to all of Silicon Valley and everything. I mean, it's a great character to create here because she has sort of the real secrets in having these conversations with
Yes,
them.
and perhaps the biggest one is about herself, which is what she's running away from here. You kind of have to have that context, of course, but it's such a. By the way, that Joanne was improvised by Billy, and it's just my favorite line. It's just the way he did it.
Because it's like impressed, but also like astonished.
Yeah. But the idea is, in many ways, to humanize these people. Yeah. The bubble of Silicon Valley and the products that they put out do tend to dehumanize us all and themselves. And the idea was, let's make these as three-dimensional as possible. Let's make them fear their own humanity and let the humor come from that. I think humiliation and humor do not have the same etymology, but they should, because I don't know how you do one without the other. And so a scene like this is, for her, not at all funny. You know, I mean, it's humiliation. It is a moment of panic, but we do get to step back and watch it, and it's like many times when you see someone being humiliated, it's very funny.
You know what's interesting about this, for you as a creator and a writer of this, is trying to keep up with actual headlines and what's happening now. So she's insider trading and all of that, and that's just every day we're hearing about this going on with all of these poly markets of it all, and the government, employees are privy to this stuff, put a bet on, make $400,000 in a thing based on that. Some of them going to, prosecutors are coming after them now and everything. There's that. There's also this ever-changing world of tech and AI, and you have that, even Xander in this. Yep. You're touching on stuff that is changing daily in our lives.
Yeah, well, there's no way to keep up with it, and of course, a TV show is written, 12, 18 months before it shoots. So I knew that this was a race that I couldn't win. In terms of trying to anticipate what it might be like. And right now we're writing the second season, and it's perhaps even more a jumbled cultural landscape right now than when we wrote it, the first season. So it is. When I spent a little time in Silicon Valley, and I went up there with the proposition that personal data was perhaps something that we could really land on and was somewhat evergreen and was going to it was always going to be an issue, because obviously AI is mining our emails, our Zoom chats, everything, guys.
Don't accept cookies.
Do not accept cookies.
AI is Big Brother. We used to hear about Big Brother. Big
Yeah.
Brother is watching you.
Yeah.
AI is that.
Yeah, well, they say that when they stop talking about Big Brother, it means that it won, because we are doing the bidding of Big Brother. We are feeding Big Brother in a way that's quite.
Who's applauding?
She is. She is. Do
We have Silicon
accept
Valley
cookies?
in the house today.
Good.
It was funny, like when we screened it in Silicon Valley, and like for these tech titans and people that were there, and they were like, "Wow, you guys kind of nailed it. The humanity of these people." And they all kept saying like, "I know who that person is. I know who it is." Well, and it's really them. We're like, "No, it's you." You know. Yeah, but they're. Yeah.
So this isn't really Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. These are, as you say, the wannabe. In fact, the wannabe. The Audacity is an interesting title, but the wannabes would be an interesting title too, because that's
Interesting,
sort of
yeah.
what it is. They're
Yeah.
bubbling under.
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis' character is the only billionaire who really kind of made it. Is from that sort of old Silicon Valley TV show in a way. You know, he's somebody who made it earlier when there was a sense of hope. We also have him be somebody who created a pop-up window that was going to edify the people who received it, and perhaps with a quote from Dylan or Shakespeare, and it ended up being the tech that he was able to sell that created pop-up spam, and overnight boner pill ads instead of Shakespeare, and so he's got a bit of a guilty conscience on that front, and just that he's an interesting character he wants to leave a legacy of good, but he's also a hungry hippo.
And you see people, not in the show, but Sam Altman, this week, apologizing for his latest, disaster, and things like that. Billy,
I hear about that.
where do you see this going with your character? How involved are you in the direction of it, or are you just going right off what he's creating and his team?
I think it's a collaboration, but not like a sit down with Jonathan. Talking about the character specifically. Again, Jonathan created this world, and what I love about television specifically, I love theater and film, but you have A to B, and like where the story starts and where it ends. With living in a character as such as Duncan Park, I sleep with this guy, I eat with this guy, I dream with this guy, I masturbate with this guy. But it sounds crazy, but I get to make every week new choices with him and discover the character, and that's where it's built. It's between us working on the project that he's put together, this genius show, but then living it and breathing it and giving it like a heartbeat. And you learn where his flaws are, his humility is, his love is. I think that's so exciting as an artist. So is it an actual sit down? Yes, we talk about plot stuff, but then emotionally, what is the tangible thing we're trying to achieve in the story beat?
It's very, there comes a point where the dividing line between the person playing the role, especially in television when there are 8 hours in our season, sometimes many more, there's the line just becomes fuzz.
It does.
I don't know where he ends and where you begin, but part of that was because I was able to rewrite based on what you were bringing to it. We had a house in Altadena and it burned down, and we went straight from there to Vancouver to where we shot this thing. So let's just say when I arrived, I did not have the surest footing in terms of the material that I brought in, but it was Billy, it was Lucy Punch, it was Sarah Goldberg, Zach Galifianakis, Rob Corddry, Simon Helberg, Paul Edelstein. They were all bringing something to the role that was just this manna that I needed at that moment to be okay, you're going to help me figure out where to go, because everything was so addled, and it was the greatest gift ever. And I think that because of that, I mean, hopefully you all are able to watch it and you're able to see it through this progression. By the time you get into the middle of the season, you really feel like these guys own what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that is because you inspired every bit of it.
And I do have to say, like, having Jonathan Glatzer as a leader, like, people forget this industry is a collaborative industry, and he listens. He supports. He works with people. And, like, there's so many people out there that don't. They just say, do this and whatever. He's an artist. He works with people.
It's a season 1 thing.
And what I love is AMC, which I worked for a few years, just before Mad Men, and then Breaking Bad, and then Walking Dead. Man, they are, with this series, in my opinion, back to that level of really
That's a huge
quality
compliment.
and stuff that makes a difference. And, you know, making the kind of show where you just want to see week by week, you know it's going to keep going and developing these characters and things. Fascinating times. Good luck keeping up with the world, my friend.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
thank you so much
Thanks
for coming
Hey,
out.
thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your time.